program. Talk 103.7 WTIP and Cable Channel 7 welcome you into Financially Speaking with Jim Taunton. Find us live on radio, TV, the IBX Media app, and on YouTube. Just search Financially Speaking NC or get the link at WTIPFM.com. The opinions expressed in this show are for general informational purposes only and not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine what investments may be appropriate for you, consult with your attorney, accountant, financial, or tax advisor prior to investing. Securities and investment advisory services are offered through Genoa Wealth Management Incorporated, member FINRA SIPC. Now, here's your host for Financially Speaking, certified financial advisor, Jim Taunton.
Hello there, and welcome to Financially Speaking. Jim Taunton here, your host for the next 30 minutes. Glad you joined me. I hope you'll be glad you joined me when it's all said and done. And as you know, I would assume this is a listener participation program, which means we would love to have a phone call from you. Call in with a question, financially related, of course, and your name will go into the drawing for the dinner for two at Antavola. I'll even pay the tip. And Antavola is a wonderful place to eat. It's probably my favorite place in town. Antavola and Chico's, and they're both locally owned places here. We can go to Antavola every week, at least once, maybe twice. But you'll find out if you call in, get your name in the drawing, and win it. And yes, that's right. We're the only program I know of that you call in with a question and have a chance to win something. You don't have to call in and answer a question. So dial the number and get in line. The number is 561-TALK, 561-8255. And, of course, it's area 252, 561-8255. And we've had just tremendous amount of volatility in the market. I'm going to talk about markets and a little bit more about tariffs and various and sundry things, but I'd so much rather talk to you about something that's important to you. And what I'm going to do, I have two more books. I'll show the YouTube viewing people, The Sacred Truths. This is on the bestseller list right now, New York Times bestseller list, written by Louis Navellier, who's been on the show once and has agreed to come on continually, and along with Peter Anderson, and we've got John Lunt. We got three really big hitters in the financial investing world. And I actually communicate with them by text and email on a regular basis now. That's one of the best things about this program. They come on the program, they don't know that it's, a little rinky-dink show in Greenville, North Carolina. And, I don't know, may have an audience of 100, or that's probably being generous. But once they're on, I get to know them. We're on we have emails together and whatnot. Then I'm able to pick their brains a couple of times a week about things that are going on, and I certainly have done that. And just to remind you that I pay for this 30 minutes. This is a paid program. They say it every time it comes on. But paid program simply means I bought the 30 minutes, which means I can say pretty much what I want to say, and the station is not responsible. My opinions are not theirs. But I wanted to say something before we go to break. We've just had a lot of uncertainty in the financial world in the last 2 or 3 weeks, especially. And a lot of turmoil. And it just reminds me, when we're going through times like that, that you need not put your trust and rely on your money for your peace and contentment. You don't need to rely on politicians for your peace and contentment. Don't rely on government policies for your peace and contentment. Don't rely on society for your peace and contentment. Don't even rely on your significant other, whether it be a spouse or otherwise, for your peace and contentment. There really is only one source of peace and contentment, and that is the eternal source of peace and contentment. And that's who you need to rely on a permanent basis. And otherwise, you are above all human beings to be pitied if you're relying on any of these things I've mentioned for your peace and contentment, because we've seen that it's all of it's shaky. All those things, politics, government, money, everything, all it's temporal. It's absolutely temporal. It's going away. It's going to be burned up one day. And so you better have more of an eternal view of things. This life is a blip. It's a blip on the screen. Life is short and eternity is long. And again, these are Jim's opinions only and not the station's. Okay. So if you want to complain about what I've said, then you can contact me directly. My email is jim@jtauntonfinancial.com. My phone number at the office is 756-4700. Would love to talk with you. Let's go to a quick break. Call during the break with your financially related question, and I'll take your call when we come back. And the first two callers tonight are going to get a book. I've already mailed out a book, and I'm mailing another book. I had 4 books total. And I'm telling you, it's a great book. If these types of things interest you at all, you need to call. And the number, again, is 561-TALK, 561-8255. And I'll be back in about 2 minutes.
Ayden Golf and Country Club invites you to become a member. Come tour our beautiful clubhouse, ballroom, and facilities. For a quality golf experience, sign up for our discounted special membership rates, low monthly dues with no quarterly food minimum or assessments. Folks love to play golf at Ayden Golf and Country Club. Cool off at the pool all summer. Enjoy excellent food and beverages from the snack bar. Even store your own cart, unless you like to walk. Call 746-3389 for special limited membership rates at the Ayden Golf and Country Club.
My practice has been built on accessibility, responsiveness, and a willingness to be proactive for my clients. I'm not afraid to make recommendations relating to your investments and planning. I do hope all of your financial decisions are good ones, but let's not rely on hope. Let's roll up our sleeves and get to work.
Jim has attained 3 professional designations: Certified Financial Planner, Chartered Life Underwriter, and Chartered Financial Consultant, which entails 20 courses of study with examinations and a comprehensive national board exam, administered by the Certified Financial Planning Board. Jim has been practicing in financial services since 1979, which includes investing, planning, and insurance to help you meet your financial goals. Among the many awards Jim has received in his career is his selection to the Guide of the Top Financial Planners by the Consumer Research Council of America. So if you want to work with someone who is working for you, call Jim at 756-4700 or email him at planning@financiallyspeaking.com. That's 756-4700 and planning@financiallyspeaking.com.
All right, there we go. I'm back. I was writing something. Note to myself. Jim Taunton here, your host for the next 20 minutes or so of Financially Speaking. And hope you'll be glad you tuned in. And you can always watch the program on the YouTube channel. If you missed it on radio, unfortunately, there's a video too, so my face will be on the screen, but you could always look away or turn up the volume and be doing something else, not looking at me. But this program is simulcast on the YouTube channel. And the YouTube channel is Financially Speaking NC for North Carolina, Financially Speaking NC. So you go to YouTube, put in Financially Speaking NC in the search bar, and you'll find it, and then hit the subscribe button. Like button would be okay too, but the subscribe button, and you'll get notifications each week when I'm about to go in there. You could watch the program, or again, always watch them later because they're archived. All of them are archived on the program, on the channel. So when you go to the channel, there's three options right there in the middle. If you click live, it'll show you all the videos I've done that have been done on YouTube. You can go back and watch whatever ones you want to watch. The best ones, of course, are when I have a guest and you can see two faces on the screen. You'll know which ones to click on. But yeah, I tell you, I have Louis Navellier puts out podcasts, quite a few of them, and also email updates. And I love what he has to say, and we communicate a lot. And Peter Anderson is another one that I've talked about on the show. And John Lunt, I actually had him on a couple of times. He manages Lunt Capital out of Salt Lake City, Utah, and I want to have him back on. But anyway, and I don't believe I have a caller yet. I don't see a text anyway. So call me, 561-TALK, 561-8255, and let's talk about something that interests you. Ask me a question. And I've left a lot of room for calls tonight. I didn't make a whole lot of notes, so here we go. The CPI, which came out yesterday or the day before, I don't remember. But the CPI, they were expecting it to go up 1% or 0.1%, and it went down 0.1%. The CPI was at 2.4%. That is really close to the Fed's goal. Now, has the Trump effect, let's put it that way, moved through and gotten to where we would see it in the numbers? No, it has not. So I'm just not sure if that 2.4 is something we need to get real all excited about. I will say this, with the 2.4 CPI and interest rates doing what they're doing, and let's see, I did write something about that, didn't I? Here we go. Yeah, there we go. And on top of that, rents as an apartment rent, house rent, rose at the slowest rate since 2021. And interest rates are coming down. So guess what? The Fed will, you've heard it on this program first, I'm going to make a prediction, and it's a strong one. The Fed will lower the Fed rate in May. And that is a bullish thing for stocks. And we have Dan who has called in. I am so grateful, Dan, that you have interrupted the monologue. Go right ahead with your question.
All right. Thank you for taking my call, Jim. Something that I hear a lot of people mention. I've listened to you long enough to know better, but it's kind of around time in the market because it's something fun to think about, like, pulling out in the cash and missing a big dip and then jumping back in. And I know of course, that's always advised against, but I know that you have mentioned taking your clients to cash just a few times. So what kind of advice would you have with all this volatility of anyone that's thinking of, jumping out while it's crazy and then getting back in later?
Don't. What you mentioned, I've done that twice, actually. I did it May of 2002 and did it August 16th of 2007. And there, in both cases, there were fundamental issues that you could put your fingers on. And I felt very strongly that it was going to be an elongated deal. And so I moved temporarily to non-stock investments and then moved back in when I thought it was a little safer to do that. Twice. What we have here, and that's 45-year career, by the way, what we have happening now is very similar to what we had happening in 2020. You remember the COVID downturn? What caused the stock market to go down 45%? It was an artificial manual closing up of the economy. It was a voluntary, proactive decision by the powers that be to pull the shutters on the economy. In hindsight, everybody that I know thinks it was a terrible idea, and it was. And to shut down the schools, our children are still reaping the rewards from that. It was don't get me started. It was an awful idea to do that. So, but that was a decision by people to do that, and that's what caused a 45% downturn. But clients would call and, Jim, do we need to get out? Do we need to do this? Need to do that? And I'd say, no, circumstantial downturns are typically short-lived and recovery is quick. And that was in May of 2020, May and June, when it went down 45%. Now we were down 20% until yesterday, and now we're down maybe 11 or 12% off the high. That was 45%, lest people forget. And by December 31st of 2020, we were well above where we were to begin with before that downturn. Now, fast forward to 2025. What we have happening today is a voluntary, proactive decision by the powers that be to do this, that, and the other thing. And we've seen that they can make a decision to do whatever it is they're doing, but they can also make a decision to reverse it just as quickly. And when they make the decision to reverse it, what happens with the market? The Dow goes up 3,000 points in a day. And do I or anybody else, regardless of how much money they manage and how they're on television or what have you, does anyone else know when these things happen? No, nobody knows. And typically, when you try to time bottoms and tops, you shoot yourself in the foot. You end up being out of the market when you should be in. And especially if you have at least a 5-year horizon, for investing your money. Now, if you said, Jim, I'm going to need to take out all of my money in 2 years. I've got something that I've got to do in 2 years. I need all my money. I'd say, get out of the market. You shouldn't be in there anyway if your time horizon is that short. But if you're invested for long term, and the mistake that people make then is that when they get to 67, 8, or whenever it is they retire, they all of a sudden think, well, I need to shift gears. I need to put all my money in fixed interest vehicles, fixed income vehicles like bonds or fixed annuities or fixed whatever, because I'm now retired. That's what we do, right? Well, no, because after you retire, how many years are you going to live? Well, most people are hoping for a good 20 to 25 years. That's still an extremely long investment time horizon. So you still need exposure to equities. Now, I believe, Dan, that, and this is just Jim's opinion, and that and $1, I guess. I don't drink coffee, so I don't know how much coffee costs. Maybe $1.25. So my opinion, and $1, $1.25 will buy you a cup of coffee. But by the end of this year, December 31st, I believe the market will be higher than it was prior to the Trump slump. And that's original, by the way. I haven't heard anybody else call it that. But I haven't copyrighted it, so you can use it in your conversations, impress people at parties or whatever it is. So before the Trump slump, we'll be above where we were before the Trump slump. And that's my opinion. I believe we will. So no, we don't want to get out of the market.
I didn't think so. I've listened to you long enough to know, but I've heard enough people just kind of say things like that. I figured it was worth it coming from you.
I've got clients. Matter of fact, I have one client who, of course, will go nameless. This is the second time he will have shot himself in the foot. There was a downturn a couple of years ago. Called up, said, Jim, get me out of the market. I said, you don't want to do that. You're going to hurt yourself. Nah, I need to get out. Well, I have to follow orders, right? I got him out. Got back in later, but he got back in higher than he got out. That's just the way it is. And just this week, called up, Jim, get me out. Well, guess what? The next day was yesterday. We sold him out, went to cash. The next day, the market goes up 10%. It just doesn't work over time. Nobody has the crystal ball that can tell you when things are going to go up and down. It just doesn't happen. Over time, it's best to be in the market for the most part, unless we know something. Like I said, if there's a fundamental issue that I can put my hands around, then I might move some assets out of the market to protect them. But it's rare. It's rare.
Yeah, I've listened to you long enough that I bought NVIDIA shares off of your advice on this program.
Right.
But I paper-handed those shares. Unfortunately, I didn't save it until it went to $1,200 and split all these times. But it was still made some nice money. So it was fun.
Well, I'm glad you made some money on it. I sure am. I'm so far above where I started, but even now I am 20-25% below the high. I mean, NVIDIA hit 150 this year, and it's now at 104. I mean, that's a significant retraction. Have I sold any of it? No, I bought more of it actually.
Yeah, I did. I did too.
That's what you do. That's what you do. You don't run for the hills. You get your dry powder and put it to work when you have these downturns. Just that simple. Dan, I appreciate you calling, and I've got a book here that's going to have your name on it. What I need you to do, if you will, you do email, I'm sure.
Yes, sir.
Send me an email with information, an address, or something that I can send this book to. Or you can come by the office, pick it up. It really makes no difference to me. Which would you rather do?
I can stop by the office and get it. I'm in Greenville.
Do you know where I'm located?
Yes, sir.
You do?
I do. I've been in that office a few times. I'm one of your clients.
Your voice sounds familiar, but the Dan I did not recognize.
It's Van, but I want to get a. That's a common mistake when I say Van. Usually, people do think it's Dan.
Thank you, producer, for making me look bad there.
I wasn't going to correct you. No.
Thank you for calling. I appreciate that. And I'll just keep it at the office. I'll put your name on it, Van. Van.
Okay, thank you.
Is what I'll put.
Yes,
on.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
And you're in the drawing for the dinner for two also. Have I ever sent you there?
No, sir, but I've been there a lot. It's a great place to eat. We love going to Ottavola.
Well, I hope you win.
All right. Thank you.
Take care. Thanks for calling. All right. That was a good call. And that's Van. Van with a V, Mr. Producer. All right. Give me a call. 561-TALK, 561-8255. I probably was going to skip the mid-program break, producer, so I can just keep disseminating good information. But anyway, last thing I said before we took the caller is the Fed will reduce rates in May. You can look for that. 25 or 50 basis points, probably 25. But that'll happen, and the market should receive that very favorably. Let me give you some stats. I believe down deep in my heart that the national debt is the most pressing issue right now for the United States of America. And let me give you some stats. The total tax revenue for the United States is $4.92 trillion. The national debt is $36.22 trillion. At 4%, if we just multiply the 36 trillion by 4, I don't know what the average rate is on treasuries that are issued now, outstanding. It takes $1.44 trillion per year to service the debt, just to service the debt. keeping in mind that 70% of the budget of the United States of America is set in stone, is non-negotiable, non-discretionary. Only 30% has any wiggle room whatsoever, and even most of that has very little wiggle room. So here's what I'm going to tell you. I like the idea of cleaning up government. I do. Whether you like the process or not, this is the first administration that has had the political will to do that. And it's because he's a second-term president and he doesn't give a flip about being reelected. I don't think. Maybe he does. Who knows? But in any case, we've had so much waste in government over the years, and I'm glad to see something happening in that area. But cuts in expenditures is like spitting in the ocean. That definitely will not fix our problem. We are going to have to grow ourselves out of this problem because it's a mammoth issue. But if tariffs or cuts or whatever it is gets us to a point that we at least can balance our budget, if we can balance the budget and not keep adding to the size of the national debt, I think it's possible that the economy will grow us to a point that we can start chipping away at the national debt. So if we have some short-term pain for the long-term gain, maybe that's exactly what we need to do. I don't like it any more than anyone else. My livelihood depends on people investing and staying invested and trusting their financial advisor to do the right things with their money and whatnot. But, we have to tackle this national debt, and nobody talks about it. Not even Trump. Not even Trump. We have to fix this thing. We have to make Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid sustainable. I'm telling you, Social Security age is going up. It'll probably go up to 70. It has to. Medicare might also have an age increase. And Medicaid just flat out broken. I don't know what they're going to do with that dinosaur. But in any case, there's just some things that have to be done. And at least he's trying. Now, he may be doing, in your opinion, he may be doing some wrong things and doing them the wrong way. But at least it's something. There hasn't been an administration prior to this one that has at least tried to do something. Now, if I had my choice, there are so many other Republicans I would like to have in the office, to be honest with you. But we have what we have, and certainly was, in my opinion, better than the alternative. But anyway, at least he's doing something. Okay, so why did Trump back off with the tariffs? It wasn't but a day or two prior, he had looked into the camera and said, "My policies will never change." Well, they did. The next day. Interesting. They changed because the bond market was about to blow up. There was a lot of selling of treasuries. The auction was terrible. Rates were spiking. The treasuries went like 0.4% in 2 days. And that's why he pulled the tariffs. All right, I've got music in my ear. I've talked right through everything, really. But glad you joined me. And this is Jim Taunton, as always, helping you make all of your financial decisions good ones. Good night, everybody.